You asked me what I kind of want today. Is that what you were?
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, exactly. Tell me what you need, man. Let's see if we can level you up some more.
Well, um, I'm really struggling, like I said, with consistency, but I'm starting to learn that about myself and how to like intercept intercept that when it starts to creep up, right? Like kind of like how
Mm-hmm.
you talk about, uh, catching yourself when you're having that emotional reaction, right? And
Mm-hmm.
dealing with that differently and not letting your emotions dictate how you react, but like to really dig deep and you know react appropriately instead of inappropriately, right? So
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the big problems that you have with consistency or holding yourself accountable is it's already a struggle to learn to respond instead of react. So if you're thinking about being consistent in a reactive way, then you're not going to find that it's easy to hold yourself accountable, right? It doesn't matter how much responsibility you want to take. You'll easily just sort of push something to the side. Let's use working out because it's super easy,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
so
yeah,
you just decide, well, I don't really need to today, right? I worked really hard yesterday with my business. And so you go, okay, yeah, I think I'll sleep in tomorrow. And that's a reaction. We're choosing to react instead of respond to the plans that we have. So if you think about it differently and think about accountability like taking steps proactively, the gym example is the one that I use where I'm like, well, set your alarm for bedtime, not for morning. So I set my alarm for 9:30, 10, let's say, but I wake up at 4:30 to 5:05, somewhere in there. Then I get up and go to the gym, right? And so I don't have to worry about holding myself accountable because I've already been proactive with the step. So if you want, we can come up with some of the things that you're struggling with being consistent on so that we don't have to react and try to hold ourselves accountable. We can try to be proactively accountable for the plan that we have. You want to do that?
yeah, man.
Okay, so give me some suggestions of where you find it's a struggle to stay consistent.
So one thing I'm learning about myself is I need because I'm diagnosed with major depressive and ADHD, right? So one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I'm learning through uh, other guys in the program is how to like follow a consistent morning routine
Mm-hmm.
because I'll wake up and if I don't see it, I don't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of weird like that, right? Like I'll I I'm coming up with a list that's going to be on paper that I see every day that I have to check off,
Yeah.
and it's just that's the only system that seems to be working for me. So
Well, why don't you level that up, right? Like you can get apps now, you can get AI now, for example. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my camera. You can get all kinds of different softwares now. If you don't want to do the manual work of like putting reminders in every day, that's one of the things that holds most guys back, right? Well, I've got to change this reminder. I've got to switch that time. I've got to do whatever. But you can now get new AIs. You can now get Monday.com is a great one, right? I think Notion does it, where once you put it in one time, then you can have this constantly alerting you and organizing your day. And I'd have to Google it, but I'll leave that to you. But I recently saw one AI that now it even moves your calendar around. So let's use the gym again. So I didn't go to the gym. I actually took care of some emails for some clients when I woke up. Okay. So then when you adjust that in your calendar, then what'll happen is it will actually bump your gym into a different free spot in your calendar. Pretty cool, right? So you can take advantage of pretty cool technologies if you're thinking about the routine, the checklist, so to speak. You know what I mean? Man, this is annoying with my camera here. I don't know what's up.
I was going to say, is this AI cast the three eyes and the bouncing green mouth?
It actually is not. No, it's just some software that's apparently not working today.
There you go.
So, excuse me. So that would be something that I would suggest you look into. Put that down on a notepad right now. Go find some software that works for you. Search it like AI. AI is going to be your best friend with that because, excuse me, as you know, with the amount of things that I give you in the reset to take care of, plus you're a business owner, plus you're an ambitious business owner, you're going to find it's going to be a lot easier to have AI doing some of that work for you. And now it's available. So take advantage of it, right? Um,
Yeah,
the
I
Go
I
ahead.
tried one. I tried one. I think you're referring to called Motion. But
Motion, I think that is it. Yeah, I think it
they
was. Yeah.
their mobile app was like
hmm
really buggy. So
Oh, it's still new, right? Give it a month
yeah,
or two, maybe, right? The
yeah,
frustrating
yeah.
part is if you're going to be a man in my program, you're going to be trying to do something right now, and then maybe you have to change your system in a month or two. That would be frustrating for me. However, I don't like to sit around and wait, right? So worst case scenario, just set it up, do the pain in the ass with the routine, with how it looks, whether it's like the calendar that I give you or whether it's like reminder after reminder after reminder, right?
Yep.
But we need to stay into that routine. That's one of the best ways to battle ADHD. If you are organized, right? There's also other things, man. It's like seven habits of highly effective people, right? There's all these kinds of resources. So like put in your closet all the same color shirt for a while. Don't think. Don't waste your brain on things that make it challenging and distract you, right? So many different things. You could change, make your diet the same every single day. By the way, also with both these things, your health has to be a top priority. It's one of the best ways to balance out the hormones in your body right now.
Oh
To
yeah, yeah.
even just the mental side of things, right? So are you still staying consistent with that?
It's dropped off in the past couple months, to be honest with you.
Is that because of
Um,
your all this work you're doing with the business?
uh, I would say I had like a complete mental breakdown. Like it finally came to a head about 2 months ago,
Okay.
and I went to the doctor, and he's like, "You need to lower your stress." And I'm like, "Why? What's going on?" This is my internist, actually, my doctor, my internist for my Crohn's disease, and it's actually a woman. She's like, your ulcers that we operated on you for this time last year and 4 years ago, 5 years ago, in 2018 anyway, they're making a resurgence. And I'm like, okay, well, that might explain why I'm having pains in my stomach. And she's like, yeah,
hmm
you need to lower your stress. And I'm like, well, shit. Um, how do I go about doing that? And she's like, how many, like, how much are you working? And I'm like, well, I wake up, I work, and then I work till I go to bed. And she's like, you need to change that. So,
No, I think she's wrong. And I'm not saying all doctors are wrong here, but like, first and foremost, your health, work out, eat right, that will help. Secondly, if you think about who you are, okay, you're going to work less and then be stressed because you didn't get stuff done. Secondly, on that note, you love what you're doing. All this new stuff, you're so excited about it. I mean, we never did have that call talking about some of the stuff you're building that I could maybe implement and stuff. But I saw like the fire in your eyes when you were telling the Lords about what you're coming up with, right? And so, do you really think you'll be more stressed or less stressed if you work less and have that in the back of your mind?
well, I did listen to her advice. I quit my insurance job, selling insurance, because that was,
Oh, that's
I don't,
different. That's totally
yeah.
different. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I listened to your advice on that too, as what we were talking about. Uh, to, if my heart's not in it, I'm not, I'm not whole assing it, right? I'm half assing, and
Yeah.
then I'm doing something that takes away from my passion, and I'm half-assing my passion.
Yeah, and
So
that's not going to serve any purpose in life. In fact, it'll take you away from all your purpose and ultimately where it could go. So great reflection, dude.
yeah, so you helped me figure that one out. I had such a long process trying to find purpose in my life again, and well, we know how long that took, but
Yeah, but
eventually,
that's okay because you don't just know. I
yeah,
mean, even think about what I'm doing. And my purpose now is to revolutionize marriage. Well, I didn't just know that. In fact, it was Catherine that was like, you've been helping men for a couple of years. You should do this. You've been a coach for 22 years. Go do it. And I was like, yeah, I guess. And then boom, right? So it's finding the passions, putting little missions in place, driving forward, giving them a shot, trying. Don't just give
yeah,
up and then that will lead to the next thing. To the next thing. Who David Data, he talks about that a lot in his book, right? It's so powerful because what happens for most of us is we just get comfortable going, I don't really have time because like the end game is so far away, right? Or it's fucking frustrating when you don't know what you're going to do with it all, right? But you don't have to know that part yet. You just have to get started, right?
Which book was his again?
Way of the Superior Man.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he talks about that.
That was a fantastic book. It was tough to get into. Like uh, the first couple chapters were a little unnatural for me, but once you get into it, it's a really great book.
I actually didn't love it too much, but I mean, it's one of my top 5 picks when you talk about masculine and feminine.
Yeah,
And the only reason I didn't love it is just because it's a relatability thing. I'm a really big fan of
yeah,
finding authors that the way that they speak, they're probably actually speaking and transcribing, and so it's more relatable, it's more real, you know. And then the other thing with masculine and feminine is I think that there's quite a hype on the energy with masculine and feminine. When, like, if you think about Catherine, she's super masculine. She's also super feminine. We don't really have to get into all the specifics. It's that I need to know where I'm at, be in control if I'm in my feminine, be massively masculine and leading, providing structure. So yeah, Data he didn't do it for me the same way, but I think there's a lot of good information in there. But that's sort of the same with all the resources that I give you guys, right?
yeah. Like it's really important to take what you can from stuff like that.
Yeah, well, now apply that to your purpose stuff, right? So it's like, let's say you read 5 of the books that I show you, or take some of the course that I show you in the reset, and you're taking all these bits and pieces, right, for where you're going in direction. As long as you're maintaining and remembering and using the information that you started with that you appreciated, you can find crossovers in the next resource. That'll reinforce it in your brain. Well, purpose is the same thing. When you're learning a new skill and you don't know where you want to go yet, but you're going to feel the energy from how excited you are about it, i.e. less stress, right? When you start to do more of what you want, then you put more energy into the next skill or enhancing that one skill, whatever, as long as it's moving you forward. And again, you don't need to know where that ends. You just need to know that you're moving forward, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I had a meeting with a client yesterday, and he was like, "Man, we met 4 months ago, and dude, you look way better today than you did 4 months ago. You look way less stressed." And I'm like, "Well, it reinforces what I'm doing, right?" So,
And so overall, do you feel like you can move forward, whatever, using motion, using something,
yeah,
making this list? Do you think you need to be making more plans to make the goal happen, whatever that goal is? I'm going to go back to the easy example, the gym, setting the alarm for bedtime. Do we need to do some of that right now?
I have that structure in place. It's actually kicking myself in the ass and following it lately. Is I just need to do it. Less thinking why the hell I'm not doing it, and just do it. It's like when I originally started the program, it was like I need to quit thinking and just start doing it.
Well, you're hitting the nail on the head there. People want a magic pill. Cole De Silva, who I love, he's like, fuck it, get off your ass. He's straight in your face. I love that guy. But the reality is most people aren't going to do that, right? So you'll see the reminder and you'll decide whether you want to or not. Instead of just doing, like, own it, get started, take responsibility. That's what you planned. Do it, right?
Yeah.
And so there is no magic pill for that as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what their mindset program's all about, their meditation, whatever, because it's really a choice. What do I want to see for myself tomorrow? Well, that starts today, right? Do you remember? Yeah, go ahead.
One thing that worked for me when I first started your program, I watched a video. I forget the lady's name, but she's like, count to 3 and do it. And it's like, well, you learn that as like a toddler, right? Count 1, 2, and do, right? Anyway, Sesame Street or whatever the heck that is.
I don't know.
And I taught it to my daughter before I even started your program. It's like, if there's something you don't want to do, but you have to do it, count 1, 2, and do. It's like it's a 2-year-old idiom, right? And for 2-year-olds,
right.
It's like you can apply that in your adult life, where it's just like do something that distracts you for a second, and then just go and do that distracts you away from overthinking or thinking about not doing it.
Well,
So
I would challenge you, if you get stuck thinking, think about it like, do you remember on Corey's accidental testimonial? You brought up Corey earlier. So he was like, I fucking hated who I was. I fucking
yeah,
hated it. That's the exact feeling that I felt. Because if you think about when we make these mistakes, so I'll use anger and yelling for an example, right? You feel terrible. You have this guilt, and then you want to go fix the marriage, and you want to go, and you're just like, fuck, why'd I do that again? I fucking hated that guy. Like, I hated him. And when I worked with Dr. Glover, and he was like, don't hate that guy. What if you love that guy? I mean, I listened. I thought about it, but no, I fucking hate that guy. It's the reason I changed my name. So just like Corey, I took that feeling and was like, you run towards it, and you're like, no, I fucking hate that. And so I figured out how to respond and not react, right? Figured out, oh, wait, what's the bigger problem? It was insecurity. So if you're stuck in your thinking, think about how you hate that guy. That guy, there is no more motivation in that as far as I'm concerned. That's why I spent so much time talking about who do you want to see in the mirror, right?
yeah, like
So the
that.
moment you see the reminder, you're just like, I'm doing it. And sure, use your idiom, 1, 2, go. But think about that guy, the one that you hate, isn't going to do it. That's
Yeah.
why you hate him, you
Oh
know?
yeah, and that guy fucking destroyed my life, right? So
Yeah, man. Rock bottom comes in different ways for everybody. We'll leave your story off of this, but uh, yeah, that's not something that we want to be proud of, and you should not sit in that. But you can remember, I don't like that guy. That guy makes bad decisions.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Impulse control. That's something that's difficult to deal with.
Oh, what are you referencing? That thing, the stuff that hurt your marriage?
Yeah, and like just how that echoes through your life, like when you, it's like when you cross a line in your actions, it makes it a lot easier to do that in other areas of your life.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, oh well, now all of a sudden you can get away with things, and oh well, that's, I can get away with that. I don't have to do that right now. That kind of stuff, and it forms that horrible new connection in your brain that does, like, you almost have to pull back and set new boundaries for yourself somehow. And
Yeah. That's the same stuff that we're talking about here today for you, though, right?
yeah,
So if you think about it, that's the same guy that's going to justify why you go sabotage with coping mechanisms. We'll talk about safe reactions for a sec, right? You sabotage with whatever it is, alcohol, porn, affairs, work, whatever. Everybody's vice is going to be different, right? Mine was yelling and booze, right? So
mhm,
we sabotage and then we justify why we need to do that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would say to Catherine, well, of course I'm still drinking so much. Of course. Like, fuck, like I need my cigarettes. I need my booze. I'm fucking depressed. Right?
yeah,
Look at me. I'm fucking depressed. It's anger coming out because she
yeah,
wasn't into me, because she didn't want me. And so you justify, but go back to it. I fucking hate that guy. Like, it's really hard in the moment. It takes practice to realize, what is it that I'm feeling. Have you seen the feelings wheel? Did you go through that with in Man with Impact?
um, I just started Man with Impact, so
Okay, so when you get through that, like, take some time. It's remarkable how many feelings you can actually be considering, what you're actually feeling. You're not confined to, there's 3 sections. You're not confined to the path that it leads. You can hop all over that thing.
yeah,
But it's
I'm just
really remarkable when
getting,
you start to realize what you could be feeling or actually are feeling, instead of just going with, I'm fucking angry. Because that's the guy that's justifying or victimizing himself, right?
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, I've I've had such a difficult time relying on negative emotion to motivate me. So in a sense where it's like I fucking hate that guy, but I keep relapsing into that guy. It's like,
Well, see, the problem is most people will tell you focus on the guy you love, right? And I do it too. We get the badass mofo statements and stuff like that. But the problem is if you don't believe that, right, then you're not motivated to be better, right? That's another reason why I don't love a lot of the stuff we see on social media with this motivation crap, right? Like, I understand why people like Tony Robbins has been saying it for years, Peterson, but like, if you think about it, you're not relying on the negative emotions. You're just taking the information in and going, okay, I want to be someone I love.
yeah,
Instead of trying to. Now, I'm not saying that you can't stand in front of a mirror and start shouting some badass mofo statements out and building yourself up and talking about the guy you do love. There is value in that. But I think that people spend too much time relying on that, but with a false belief, it's what actually limits you from taking the next step for your purpose, for example. Right?
yeah, false belief. Yep, exactly.
That's right. So you're trying to convince yourself instead of realizing, that's why I say run to the pain. Instead of realizing, I just don't like that guy. That's not sitting in the negative. That's it. I just don't like that guy. Who would I like? It's not necessarily the opposite, right? It's like saying, I'm going to replace yelling with not yelling. That doesn't work. You have to give her everything else she needs, right? Fun, excitement, energy, blah, blah. Same thing. You can't just be like, well, I don't like this guy. I'm overweight. I've got these ulcers, Crohn's, and like, I need to be working out. So I'm just going to be that guy. That's almost teetering into the false belief of, yeah, see, I'm a healthy guy when you know you're not there yet, right? But you can take that guy that I don't like and be proud of the step you're taking moving forward. I like that guy. I'm not there yet. Understand that and go, but I like that guy. That guy's moving and grooving. That guy's focused on the health. That guy's going to be running around with his kid. Autumn's going to be jumping up in the air and you're going to be able to, whatever, twirl in the air with their dance class because you're in shape,
Yeah.
But then you have all these other benefits, right? Feeling better about your accomplishments at work because you've been focused more at work, right? Like, I mean, we could just go on and on and on. So don't think about sitting and having the negative emotions attack you. You're probably confusing that with things like, when you're feeling insecure, wondering if Shannon's ever going to be, ready to try again, right? And so you start to feel bad about yourself. You start to feel insecure. That's not the same thing. That's like going to a place of allowing yourself to feel the pain, stay in the pain, instead of taking that next step and going, okay, I'm done with that guy. I didn't like the guy that caused that. But that's not who Andy is anymore. And you might not be where you want. You feel guilty about kind of being in and out of the reset, being with Lords, not being with Lords, focused, not focused. You've got all these internal battles, Andy. But you, if I put you in a box, are nothing like the guy that I met. Nothing. You're struggling to stay consistent going forward. But we love the new Andy. And we're going to be even more proud of the newer Andy. The one who's still moving, the one who's still going. All you have to do is understand where you're at and say, it's okay. I'm not living in my mistakes anymore. And I'm not there yet, but I'm moving there yet. Let me give you a simple example because I know how much you love your daughter. So Catherine and I, we just finished up with our next to newest parenting coach. We just love her. I show her in the reset. And, Catherine, because we're learning so much, Catherine gets hard on herself for, the kind of mom she is. And I don't think she questioned it. I think it's just how the conversation went. But it was like, are you proud of who you are as a dad? And I was like, I am. I'm not really there yet. I can see what I'm learning. I can see what I'm practicing. It's so much of what I'm teaching you at Man with Kids. And it's a massive struggle for me with the lessons I learned from Michelle. Connection over correction is the big one.
Yeah,
Massive.
follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, she's just remarkable. I'm actually going to meet with her on Thursday. I'm going to do a show with her.
Yes.
But yeah, she's just amazing. But it's a massive struggle for me, Andy, because of where I came from, how I was raised, the abuse from my parents, the narcissism from my father, even my brother, right? But I am so happy with where I'm at, even though I'm not the perfect dad, because my connection is growing with my kids, because I'm nothing like that guy. I'm not sitting in that pain. You know, with my son, my 11-year-old, I was really not a great dad, right? And that's what I want you to start paying attention to. Start to feel you might not be where you want to be, but you are not that guy. Then you're not sitting in the negative, but you are happy with a real belief of just fact, where am I at? Nobody's perfect. In fact, I'm going to start putting out content showing some of my mistakes. Catherine and I make mistakes. People think we're perfect. No, we still make mistakes. You see it on Lord's calls, I tell you, right? But can you do that? Can you start to pay attention to there's 3 different men here? There's the guy we don't like, who made the mistakes. There's the guy you ultimately want to be, and we don't even have a clear picture on that yet because we're still in this other spot. Can you start to identify that and then stay on track with where you're going?
Just taking notes.
So I guess that you can identify with that then.
Yeah. Guy I was, guy I am, guy I want to be.
Yeah. And you know how I always tell you, we're never done leveling up. So you're kind of always this guy in the middle, right? And that's what I think is, sorry?
You're like Sisyphus. You're always pushing the rock.
100%. And that's why I want you to love. Yeah, you love where you're at. If you think about it, every purpose you have, you know, you came to me and it was just your wife and family, right? Really. And now you're thinking about the rest of your life. You're talking about health. Like there's all these other facets for Andy, who you are now. But you are never done leveling up. So if you think about it, you better start learning to love the guy you are right now, because that's who you are for the rest of your life. Because if you're a Lord, we are not done growing, ever. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's why I can say to you so comfortably, yep, I still have lots of things to practice with my children as I learn more to be a better man with kids. But my gosh, I'm happy with who I am and the connection we're building and the relationship I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's something to be said for, I don't know if you've ever been there in your life where it's like, okay, like I've accomplished a really big goal in my life. Now what? And
massively.
You know, it's like it's a bad thing to almost accomplish your goals for some people. For myself, because it's like you almost lose your vision.
That's so common, Andy. That's so common. That's actually all the providers who don't understand why their wife doesn't want them. Yeah. Right? I've already accomplished it. Right? Ryan's not like this, but think about some of the doctors that we've had, like the arrogance. That's why I put in the version 4.0 reset where I'm like, oh, you probably haven't seen it yet, but I'm like, I don't care if you're a doctor and you save lives. That's not purpose. And people are like, what? Yeah, because if the mechanic didn't fix the car that got into the accident and that person didn't go to hospital, you had no life to save. Why is that purpose better than theirs? That's not a purpose. It's a fucking job, right?
Yep.
But we get wrapped up in I have achieved. And another good example, I'll go back to health because it's so easy, but oh yeah, I used to bench press 300 pounds. Man, dude, shut the fuck up, man. That was like 20 years ago. I don't give a shit. What are you doing now? Right? Yeah. And so I want you to take a real big step here. Go back to that guy in the middle we were talking about. I want you to really focus on this point you're bringing up right now. That is a normal thing, right? Using parenting coaching, how many people are leveling up with a parenting coach? That's why I talk to you guys. 1% of people are leveling up. You're doing a whole program to level up. That's pretty significant because most people go, I made it. I'm an adult. I'm there. Huh? Like, when did we stop trying to grow? And because everybody does that. So if you're recognizing that, Andy, then you can use that as like, it's driving force. It's ambition. I talk about it all the time. Of course, that was what made your wife hot for you because it kept you busy. It kept you exciting to talk about. Your energy you brought back was so vibrant and exciting, and it was attractive. Focus, drive, ambition. But we get stagnant because life is tiring. Well, it's not once you have it all in place, when it's natural, when you've replaced bad habits with skills. So I want you, this is a little homework assignment I want you to do. I want you to think about this exact thing because it's going to guide you with your purpose. So when you start to feel like some of the things that you've accomplished and that's good enough. I want you to go back to the man in the middle, knowing that we're never done leveling up and we're moving here. And I want you to start thinking about what it would look like to build on that. Sometimes it's like something that you used to do when you were younger, right? Man, I never did finish the jiu-jitsu and become a black belt. Dude, what if that meant that you were, and I believe we talked about that with you months ago, but what if that meant you were working with, Big Brother program and you were helping lead some young men? I know you're passionate about giving positive role models to young boys because you didn't have one. You've mentioned that before. We talk about legacy, right?
Yeah.
So that's
a little update on that. On that. I'm doing that now.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Not with like super young kids, but like guys that are like 18, 19, 18.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah.
It's all online and stuff like that. But I come at it from a place of like not an expert, but like not a subject matter expert, but like an expert from fucking up.
Yeah, but that's the best.
What not to do, right?
Yeah.
Tell guys what not to do, right? So.
Well, I think that there's so much value in that. I mean, if you think about it, when our parents do that for us, it doesn't work because it's our parents. But when you, and mostly because also people want to learn from example, but you have a really remarkable opportunity by sharing some of your experiences, some of your mistakes, right? But it's really about creating that bond so that when they're ready, they say, what do I do next? Just like you did when you found me, right? If you think about it, I give all my mistakes on my social media content. And when a dude's ready, sometimes that's 6 months, that's when he reaches out. It's the exact same thing. So I'm very proud of you, Andy. That's a beautiful step. As soon as we started talking about legacy projects with Lords, you were on that. There was another guy, BJ, there's a bunch of you guys that wanted to do something with it. So I'm happy to see that you're starting to move forward with it. But yeah, that's exactly what you need to do when you think about past accomplishments not being good enough. What can I do next? What excites me? And once you have it, you don't need to know every detail yet because it will evolve, right?
Yeah, one thing that I forget where I read it, but it's like looking at your accomplishments as wealth. You're always going to want to be more wealthy, right? Like most people, more money would be great in their life. So more accomplishments, doing more, getting more knowledge. Look at it from instead of a goal standpoint. I think
it's beautiful. I love it.
There's like a 65-year-old guy. He's a client of mine. I'm not going to say his name on here, but he's like, Andy, quit setting goals and start setting standards. And that's kind of
beautiful.
Where he's a financial advisor, right? And that's where he kind of, I think that's where I got that notion from him but years ago.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful analogy, and it's right. It's correct, right? That's the reason why I don't talk about goals much in Man with Purpose. Is most people don't follow goals anyways. You need to be held accountable, which is the start of this conversation. You need to be consistent, which is the start of the conversation. Otherwise, you're just putting a goal down on paper, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why we talk about acquiring skills and stacking them, right? So I really, really like that a lot. Yeah.
How many hockey teams win the Stanley Cup back-to-back? Like, it's few and far between. Or the title back-to-back. It takes a really gifted individual on a team to pull that together. Like, one in a generation, like, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, stuff like that, right? Like, you don't see it all the time because guys will win the Stanley Cup and they'll go and blow all their money and, hey, I won the cup, I'm good, I don't need to do anything else in life. And, it's kind of the same feeling gearing back a bit there.
But it's also so common. Let's use just because you talk about wealth and we talk about making money, right? Accomplishments can lead to more money, sure, but wealth internal was such a good word because when you're giving back, besides being super attractive, that's just an amazing quality, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about the amount of men that I speak to that don't have enough money to invest, right? They can't invest in themselves. And I'm not even charging the dollars I want to charge because I want to be able to help enough people. But these guys already think, I'm a great provider. I give her the kingdom. She should want me. Like, think about that. But they can't even spend a few grand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if that's the case, you ain't providing. You know what I mean? Like if you can't get, you're complaining about the house not being clean. Fuck, if you can't afford a nanny for whatever, not a nanny, housekeeper for a couple $150 a month or a week, I mean, or whatever it is that you need. Like if it really bothers you that much, you're not a provider. But
Yeah,
that's the sense. Sorry?
it's a hard reality for a lot of guys to face because they think that they're a good provider, and it's like when you quantify it down to things like that.
Yeah, if you just break it down.
Pill to swallow, right?
Yeah, so you have to go, okay, did I accomplish anything?
Yeah.
See, in that case, it takes sitting from your past accomplishments and just saying, all right, I did it. I bench pressed 300 pounds years ago. Okay, that's one version of it. The next version is, did you actually accomplish anything? Right? It's like all the guys that are going to start to try new businesses here, new businesses there, and then they just give up. Instead of learning skills, putting them all together and going somewhere with it, right? Did you actually accomplish anything? And I think it's a really important point to recognize because you start to first look at all your accomplishments, but you're probably talking yourself up and trying to build those into bigger things. Even if you won the Stanley Cup once, that's a pretty big accomplishment. But if you're that good, shouldn't you be doing more?
Why stop?
Yes, exactly. Right. But isn't that the same thing as when our marriage started to fall apart and we stopped because we stopped flirting. We already got the girl, we're not dating anymore, all these sorts of things. It's all the same shit. That's why I always say it's like different stories, same symptoms, same treatments. Just apply it in the different men that I show you to be in the program. Right? Make sense?
Yeah, I don't know if it was you or if it was somebody else that was talking about that. They're like, you got the woman now. Why do you feel comfortable farting in front of her?
I teach that. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it okay if she goes and gains 100 pounds? Because that's the same mindset as you farting in front of her.
All that kind of stuff, right? It sounds so superficial, right? Like, especially anybody who's going to watch this is going to be like, what? Sounds so superficial. Gaining 100 pounds. What? I've known her forever. I can fart in front of her. So I teach her, and I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, you wouldn't, if you were dating tomorrow, you probably would be looking down at the buttons on your shirt. And be like, like, you probably wouldn't be farting in front of her in a restaurant. 99% of men aren't going to do it. Not in the car, not in the restaurant. You're going to go to the bathroom and do it. So, like, why? Why? If you know you wouldn't do it if you were dating somebody new tomorrow, why? That's the accomplishment thing. I already got the girl. It doesn't matter. And I used to say, it means that you're lazy. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean you're lazy. I think some people just don't know. My parents farted in front of each other. I figured it out. Right? You don't know what you don't know. But what I have a problem with is when you do know and you ignore it.
Yep. Willful ignorance.
Yeah. So sometimes it's like what you've struggled with here is being consistent, but mostly inconsistency is willful ignorance.
Yeah.
Right?
Nicholas pointed out something. He's like, man, you're in and out of the program. Yes, but you're coming back in consistently.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, there's consistency there of like, and I kind of looked at it like a weight loss journey. Like I used to be 300 and some pounds a year and a half ago. Now I'm up a little bit. I'm in my 240s, but I was down to 229 for a while, and it's getting there, right? And
so, which guy are you right now? Yeah. Which guy are you? Are you the guy that we don't like? Are you the guy that's there, or are you the guy in the middle?
It's so crazy when you put it like that, right? Because it's the difference between ruminating on the past, living in the now, and worrying about the future.
Exactly. If we know that we'll never be there, right? Because you could have a six-pack by the time you finish this journey, and you could be so energetic and so you got your Crohn's under control. Like life is good, but you're gonna probably then want to do something different. Maybe you're gonna go try an Ironman. Go climb some mountains. I don't fucking know. I don't want to do that shit when I'm healthy. But like, who knows? We don't know yet. But, you know, when you start to piggyback these skills, stacking them, you're doing this stuff helping the young men. Fuck, maybe you start helping them with their journey. Fuck, maybe you open up some sort of facility where you can train them and educate them. Like, who knows, right? So if you're the guy in the middle and you're happy with that guy, Andy, as long as you know you're moving forward, who fucking cares? You're not that guy anymore. So see how it's not negative?
Yeah.
Do you feel a little bit more organized in your head?
Yeah, man. It is always a great experience sitting down with you.